Great. Good evening. The time being 7 p.m. on February 28th, quorum of the planning board being present, I call this meeting to order. Obviously, we had two members out this evening, so we only have three members. All the petitioners have been informed. And for anyone who happens to be here, if they were looking for 1788 Main Street, that's going to be continued to our next meeting, so we won't hear anything about that tonight if that's why you're here. Otherwise, welcome to stay, and we'll move on to the other hearings once we get there. First item on the agenda is agenda item A, which is approval of minutes for February 14th, 2022.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I think I'd like to table these minutes until the rest of our members get in here so that they can review these things and we move on. I just had a couple other comments, Alex. I know we have a new administrative assistant there, but it was mentioned here that another person stepped forward regarding Dawn's retirement thing there or whatever. But that would be Nancy Reed.
Sure.
I don't know if she knew that or not, but
Probably not.
she was on the planning board for 15 years. So, and I had some comments on there. I think maybe if she reviewed them, that I'd like to get into the records as well. So,
Yeah, I can take the comments if you'd like.
yeah, I mean, I don't remember them all, but I mean, if she could review the tape, I think that would probably be best. So, that's all I had. So,
All right, so we will table the minutes until our next meeting. Moving on to agenda item B, committee reports, administrative actions. Are there any committee reports any of the members wish to make?
I'm all set, Mr. Chairman.
All right. With that, we'll move on to B1, which is, B2, which is town planners report.
All right, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Pretty brief tonight. The first item I wanted to mention was you already alluded to 1788 Main Street, the Balance Spa signed special permit public hearing. Due to the lack of special permit granting authority quorum we don't have this evening, they're going to be continued to March 14th. And to kind of remedy the inconvenience, because this was kind of, we didn't know this was going to happen, I recommend hearing their application first on the 14th as the first item, because it'll probably be pretty quick. And we have 4 other things on the agenda that day. So I would hate to continue them to the end of the agenda, considering it's probably going to be a one-meeting situation. So that's just my recommendation.
That's fine.
We can, cross that bridge when we get there. And the other item is I did receive an estimate from an engineering consultant, GCG Associates from Wilmington. It's dated February 18th. I included it in your packets. And that was to get us a price on the design and permitting for the proposed sidewalk additions at 1788 Main Street and 1866, which will close up our gap on Main Street. And it includes work for the signal updates. And it is a survey of existing conditions, 100% design and permitting. And the price came to $45,750, and that's inclusive of these signal updates and all of the work necessary to get us construction ready. Where we are missing 2 of our members, I certainly understand if you don't want to make any motions relative to approving funds to be able to use from the sidewalk fund to move forward with this, but I did want to bring it to everybody's attention today because I did receive it the other day.
Yeah, I'd rather wait till the other members are here, hopefully at the next meeting.
Perfectly fine.
All right, very good, thank you.
Mr. Chairman, a question for Alex. So, Alex, very thorough proposal. Do we need any other bids to grant this, or can we just go ahead and get one bid and move forward? I didn't know if that was the case.
We can move forward with this one if you would like, but if you would also like another comparative quote, I'm happy to get one of those as well.
I don't have a problem. My only other question was, have we used these people before?
Yes.
Okay, so Kevin Hardeman is familiar with them and what they
Correct.
do, so.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's in the Rolodex of engineers. They try to do it every couple of ones, so they're not using the same firm every single time. And these folks have come back as responsive and reasonable in price.
Yeah, good. Okay. Yeah, I'd like to table this as well till the full membership is here so that we can all vote on it. So.
If in the interim, between now and the 14th, you are able to get an additional quote, don't go crazy, but if you do,
Sure.
because we have a little bit of time now, because, we won't be back until the 14th, just as a comparison.
Absolutely.
All right, very good.
That's all
Moving
for
on to
me.
agenda item C, so that's that 1788 Main Street. That is a signed special permit. So we'll just open that and continue it. So do I have a motion to waive the public reading?
So move, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. And then this will be continued till 7 PM on March 14th, 2022.
Make
Have
a motion, yeah, motion to that effect, Mr. Chairman, as well.
A second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Moving on to agenda item D, 60 Highland View Road, site plan special permit land disturbance permit. I have a motion to waive the public reading.
So move.
Have a second? Motion made and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. Looks like we have someone here for 60 Highland. We can get set up.
Mr. Hammer, is that a better easel for you to hold on? I don't know. Curious.
We're going to make an adjustment. Thank you.
Enough time.
It might be a better one than this. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, I'll get this right in a minute. There we go. So, for the record, my name is Matt Hammer with Lamplex Engineering, 10 George Street, Lowell. Our client would have liked to have been here. They're from the Netherlands, and the other gentleman's from Tennessee. And with all the meetings that we've already had up to this point, I felt as though I didn't think they needed to fly in here for this meeting, so I do apologize. I know that we don't have a quorum tonight. And if it's necessary at the next meeting that it's required for them to be here, they most certainly can be here, but it is a long trip for them. So we're here for a site plan special permit as well as a land disturbance permit to develop 60 Highland View Road. To this point, we've had 2 IDR meetings, which have been very helpful. We've been to conservation already, and we've received a variance from the Zoning Board of Appeals. If you recall, we were requesting a dimensional setback from the side lot line, and we were granted that variance to the side lot line from the Zoning Board of Appeals. So existing is a vacant lot. It's essentially a gravel parking area right now that's just leveled. It was used in conjunction intermittently with the business across the street. The applicant and the owner of the parcel is Highland View Realty Trust, which is also the Hupper family, who have been running a business here for many years. And they're now doing a ground lease with these folks that are going to be doing this, what I call a high-tech greenhouse, which is going to have a robotics nature to the inside of the greenhouse, and it's a research and development laboratory to specialize this processing of essentially fruits, strawberries, blueberries, things of that nature within the structure itself. The plan for the layout of the building has not changed since we came in initially for our informal review with the board, where we're going to have 2 curb cuts off of Highland View Road, which is here. There's going to be a building here, approximately 170 by 81 feet, which is here. There's going to be pavement around the building, and there's just going to be a few parking spaces here. The building itself may have at any one time like 4 to 6 people at the most, we anticipate. This also is not a facility that generates much traffic at all. You know, basically the vehicles that would be coming out of the facility to take strawberries out to wherever they're going would be pickup trucks or small, very small box trucks. The client was playing a little catch-up on the requirement for the architecturals. So I had instructed them that I had needed more definitive architectural drawings to show the board as to what this facility is going to look like. So the greenhouse obviously wants the glass to be southerly facing, and that would be this direction here. So you have a panelized bottom running around the building with a glass front here, and then there'll be mechanized ventilation windows coming off the top. This is entirely glass. It's going to be more of a structural glass panel, much different than you would see on a typical greenhouse that would have thin single pane glass. This is going to be more structural in nature. That's the side facing Highland View. One of the comments that came up, I know that the board's concerned about having a door facing Highland View, and in this case, they're calling them revolving doors that are going to be facing Highland View here. So this is the west side. So this would be the side that would be adjacent to the abutters. And I should note that this group, they're called Zordi, is the name of the group. They're from the Netherlands. They went around to the neighborhood and individually knocked on the neighbors' doors. I don't know if any of the neighbors are here tonight. No. And they did not show up at the Conservation Commission meeting, but I told them to go and introduce themselves to all the neighbors before the meetings. So this is the side, if you were on the abutter side facing the building, again, this is glass, and at the end of the building is a solid frame working itself around. They don't need that light coming from that side. And there's actually going to be a garage door on the back side in order to bring a pickup truck into the back, into the building. So that would be the side that the neighbors would see. This is the opposite side, facing the parking area on the easterly side. Again, glass, solid in the rear. And then this is the back. This is also facing a commercial parking area. Mm-hmm. And these will be dark green insulated metal wall panels that'll be insulated. I mean, I could walk through the drainage and the sewer and the water with you as well. There's going to be a subsurface infiltration system here. There's going to be drainage that works their way itself around the building here, going into systems to clean the water before it goes into the subsurface infiltration system. We have water and sewer out front that is stubbed into the property. And this this building will be sprinklered. We made it known to the fire chief at the IDR meeting in regard to the sprinkler provisions for the building. He was happy with that. We'll be making sure he gets a copy of the swept path analysis that was also mentioned in the engineering comments. And he has full access to the building related to that, but he was happy that it's all going to be, well, it's actually going to be, it's required by code that it's sprinklered. And then there'll also be a oil grease trap for the floor drain for the garage portion of the rear of the building. That'll be located here. Grading along the side and the rear of the building. One of the comments from the engineering department was they didn't want snow storage on the side here, so we're just going to create one snow storage area in the back, which we have plenty of room to do that back here. The engineering department also wanted these curb cuts constricted more, because there's a requirement that they're no wider than 35 feet, and we're going to be making that change to the plan as well. And we went through all the comments that were provided to us on Friday. We went through them today, and we feel as though there's going to be no material changes other than the entrances that'll affect the look and feel of the site from Highland View Road. As I said, we went to the Conservation Commission. We had a productive meeting with them. We tabled or continued that Conservation Commission meeting because we want to make sure that the plans, when they're finalized, get incorporated into the order of conditions with the Conservation Commission. But they didn't have any additional comments other than a dewatering area that they wanted in the back, which we're adding to the erosion and sedimentation control plan. And we're going to incorporate Joe Fontaine's comments into the revision that we're going to be making back to the engineering department this week. And I can take any questions from the board.
All right, we'll start with Mr. Fattalia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Look, will you be providing us better renderings as we go forward or not?
This is what we have. These elevations. We're hoping that these elevations would suffice what the board needs.
Okay.
We also had a submission that was an 8.5 by 11 packet, which was this document.
Yeah.
And it just
Yeah.
gives you an idea what the building would look like. I mean, this is a pretty simplified,
Just trying to get an idea of the roof structure and how's it going to look and
yeah,
with the neighborhood and so forth and so on.
okay.
So, that was one of my concerns. So, another question I had, Mr. Hammer, is I wasn't aware that you were going to be producing more than just strawberries. You had mentioned that to us as a strawberry
Right.
facility, but now you're mentioning blueberries and others?
Well,
What others? I'm just curious.
what this is maybe there's a little confusion. They're in the business of processing fruits.
Yeah.
So this is a research and development facility that's going to have robotic manufacturing techniques within the building itself to grow, process, clean strawberries. Okay, when I found out last week that the same process could be applied to a blueberry, a raspberry, or something along that nature. This company is going to be building a much bigger facility once they refine that process.
Okay.
That-
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean,
Yeah.
but again, like I said, you just told us or gave us the concept that it was strawberries only. But I don't have a problem with that. Blueberries, raspberries, and anything else we have on there is just in addition to it, and that's fine. But just so the public knows, I
Yep.
mean, that's fine. I don't have a problem with them coming in or being, research and development down there too. I mean, the more the merrier, I think, so,
But what I can say, Vincent, is that it's specific to berries.
yeah.
It's the, I believe there's a rotating contractor of some sort that helps wash the berries and
Okay.
things of that nature,
Yeah.
so.
I just have two more questions, and I'll let my colleagues go. So you mentioned that the owners had reached out to the neighbors, correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Any feedback from them, or any
No, I mean,
disgruntled neighbors about it, or?
no,
Okay.
you know, we've always been offering up a fence if the neighbors wanted a fence. And that fence would,
Yeah, along the other side.
be along here. So if they wanted, you know, maybe some arborvitae's or something like that put in there, but we offered it up to them if they wanted a full fence along that side, that one
Sure.
side, yeah.
Okay, my last question. You mentioned about 4 to 6 employees possibly?
Yeah,
Okay. You have enough parking for all those employees if they're all working
Absolutely.
there and people coming in
Yep,
to
we have-
purchase or whatever, so,
yep. We have 8 parking spaces along here.
okay,
If need be, a couple cars could fit in the back. The fire department made no mention of needing to get completely around the building or anything. They were okay with just this access. And again, this is going to be a sprinklered building.
Sure.
So we have plenty of parking for that.
sounds good. Okay, with that, I'm all set, Mr. Chairman, thank you.
All right, Mr. Delaney.
One of the questions is, the snow storage, how much room do you actually have back there?
A lot. Yeah,
It's gonna fit all the snow that you gotta plow from side to side?
yeah,
Without getting into the neighbor's property?
that's correct.
Okay. There's still a lot of questions, I guess, to be answered, but I think that was my big concern.
Okay.
The snow storage, and to make sure it doesn't go on other people's property.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'm all set, Mr. Chairman.
All right, so, I don't know, did they get this as well?
Yep.
So you went through the letter from Mrs. Louder? All the red writing?
Oh, I didn't see that. Did that come in today?
So
No, I sent it to you on the 14th.
if you haven't seen it, then I won't run through the specifics of
Sure.
it, other than to say, there are several things noted on it that we didn't get, that we would normally be looking for.
Okay.
Or in some cases, the size of what we received wasn't what we would normally require. So there's some things on here that are things you'd have to ask for waivers for.
Okay.
If you're not supplying them or asked for anyways.
Okay, no, I think I did see this.
So I just want to make sure before you come in the next time that
Okay.
you've either addressed them.
Or request a waiver.
Or prepared to ask for a waiver and explain why.
Yep.
But other than that, you know, most of the rest of the questions are, you know, are engineering based. So once you've got those straightened away, that clears most of it up. Is there, do you know, do they have or what would be their sort of maintenance plan? Because obviously we're talking about a giant glass building that, you know, things could cause it to look in disrepair differently than your average building, you know.
Right.
And we build, you know, most of our industrial
Windows.
sort of things are just big, you know, concrete buildings.
Yeah.
You know, they take more wear and tear than a
Sure.
greenhouse. And, you know, nobody wants to stare at, you know, broken windows and,
Right.
or anything like that. I'm just, you know,
Yeah.
obviously, I think the maintenance or the concern for potential maintenance, just something for them to be, because, I mean, it sounds like the
Yeah.
way you've described it, there aren't always going to be people around it, there aren't always going to be people there. I don't want it sort of just kind of going along, and then people start to ask why that looks like that.
Yeah, I didn't mean to, yeah, and when I said the word robotic, it seems to
No, I know
imply
it's
too
not.
that
I know it's
maybe
not
that
the
no one needs to,
L2000,
there'll
I
be somebody
understand.
there every day.
Right.
These are not, yeah, when I think of glass greenhouses, I think of broken windows. This is structural glass. This is if you notice, you know, this has got a very large frame on the side that has to structurally hold the roof. So this is going to be a very fancy-looking greenhouse, I think you'll find.
Well, I mean,
I'm
obviously,
sure
I'm
the
not
building-
figuring that this is, you know, the rock in a window kind of problem. I'm just saying, you know, you're dealing with a different type of building that, you know, just might require a little more thought in making sure that it stays looking the way it's supposed to.
Sure.
As opposed to your typical concrete, you know, bunker, basically, that sometimes industrial buildings tend to be. So
I'm
that's,
gonna-
just to make sure that they're
Yeah.
just prepared to keep it in a, you know, in a good condition.
Yeah.
In an ongoing manner, because
Sure.
that's gonna be something, you know, the neighbors, they may
Yep.
not, you know, think of it now because it looks like this, you know, we want it to
Yep.
look like that going forward too. Since, you know, since it's gonna have residential neighbors right next to it.
Yeah, in fact, that's a good question. I'm going to assume, but we're not going to assume that the glass is going to be clean because they need the light to go through the glass in order to, I know that they have some internal screening within the building so they can try to get additional growing seasons. So that there'll be some internal illuminance and screening in order to create that environment off of the summer period. But I'll get you some more detail on the maintenance of the glass itself and what their regular maintenance is for that. And I'm
And-
sure it ties into the building code as well.
Right, and any kind of, you know, artificial illumination stays on site.
Right, so the obvious question my first question to them was, is this going to be glowing?
Yeah,
In
a
effect,
giant
that-
lighthouse.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I asked that same very question. And I'll provide you some additional information to ensure that there'll be no splash of lighting off the property. And then we can give you some additional information related to the internal workings of the screens within the building. And obviously, any maintenance that would be needed in order to maintain the outside of that glass, which is the most important part of their operation, to ensure that they're getting the most transmission of light into the greenhouse, so.
Yeah, and then the last piece would be, you know, whether or not those abutters come in, you know, asking for the fence, it feels like the kind of thing that probably we should think about having put there.
Sure.
Just, you know, in any, you know, kind of appropriate screening, rather than have it be an after problem that we have to deal with. It just feels like it, you know, it might be proactive
Sure.
to have it done so that, you know, like I said, just because they haven't complained doesn't necessarily mean they don't have concerns. You know, it's not a fence four corners around the place. We're talking about down one side.
Right, so we want to put that fence down that one side. They've even talked about putting a fence around the entire facility. They have some security concerns that they want to ensure there's going to be, you know, this can be a very expensive facility. It's going to be run professionally that way. So I'll make sure I get back to you, but
So-
we'll at least have the one fence.
But, you know, but whether it's going to be one side or four sides, I'd like to know what it's going to look like.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Because again, that's, you know, does it make things better or is it making things worse, depending on what it looks like?
Right, so initially, we were going to do a white opaque fence, 6 feet in height, down the residential side. And then, you know, they were still determining whether that was going to be around the entire facility as that white opaque, or whether they would then go to chain link on the other two sides. I told them they can't close off the front because they need full unrestricted public access with the fire department and everything else related to that on the front. That's my understanding on that. But
Okay.
it has been fully discussed about
Like I
that.
said, just, you know, something that we can see for, you know, whatever whatever their decision's going to be on
Sure.
what they think. I'd rather have something in hand for what they may do, even if they haven't made a final decision, so that we can discuss it.
Sure.
Rather than trying to chase this again afterwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Okay, so that's it for now then. You know, obviously, we have a couple other members who will likely have some thoughts when they come back, so.
Sure.
Be prepared for those. So with that, I'll open up to the audience. Anyone in the audience with any questions, comments, or concerns on this? Seeing none?
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple more comments if I could, and I forgot to ask.
Mr. Fratelli?
So on the new plan you just gave us tonight, Mr. Hammer, the panels that are going across, how high are those?
So this building is 26 feet high, so those panels are
I'm guessing it's
These
4
are-
feet? I don't know, but,
6 to 7 feet.
The dark colored
no, the
ones?
dark colored green,
This one right here is 5 feet.
5 feet, okay.
And then these, you know, these are going to be like 6-foot panels. I
Okay.
mean, they're very large structural panels. This is going to be a very unique building.
Yeah. And my last question is, I know, I thought one of my colleagues was going to bring this up, but the comments from Mr. Hardeman are here.
Yep.
He said most of them are addressed, so you'll finish them this week with him or
Yeah,
something?
we're going to make a submission back to the town this week.
Okay.
And, hopefully we'll have comments back from them for the Friday before the next upcoming meeting. If not, maybe we'll come in and, Mr. Ryder and the other board member, Fowler, if they have, come in and get some additional feedback from them, and then trying to get things closed out with
I'm
engineering.
just looking at, there's 27 comments here, so I mean.
Oh, I saw them,
Yeah, okay.
yeah. So,
All set, thank you.
yep.
All right, so then we will look to have you on the 14th then?
Yes.
So, next spot, 7:20. So do we have a motion to continue 60 Highland View Road to 7:20 on March 14th?
Yeah, make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to continue it till the date of March 14th, 7:20 PM.
All right, I have a motion made. Do I have a second?
Second?
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right,
All those opposed, motion carries. All right, we'll see you on the 14th.
All right, thank you.
thank you.
All right, moving on to agenda item E, 85 French Street. Do we have a motion to waive the public reading?
So moved.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
All right,
All those opposed, motion carries. All right, sir, if you just state your name for the record, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. My name is Andy Baum from Sherman and Friedrich, 3 Converse Street in Palmer, Massachusetts. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, CAL Realty, for the proposed construction of a 5-bedroom, single-family home, as shown on the plan behind you. It's a 1.5-acre lot. The entirety of it is encapsulated in green, so you can get a feel for the size of the property. And for the edification of the audience, French Street is located right here. Here's French Street right here. A couple site impediments include there's some bordering vegetated wetlands located on the other side of the road right here. Our field crews recovered some wetland flags that were delineated when we did the topographical survey. So the 100-foot buffer zone is shown right here. There's also a gas line, gas main that cuts across and through a gas easement right here. There's an old septic system that was located right here, and at some point they transitioned over to municipal sewer. The existing house is a single-family home. It's located lightly right here. Access to the house, there's a little garage off to the side. There's an existing driveway that comes off the southwest corner of Page Southwest here. It's a fairly steep driveway. It's probably 12 to 14% off the road. If anyone's familiar with the area or the residents in the area, this house is located actually on top of a pretty big substantial hill. There's about a 2 to 3 foot high wood retaining wall located right off the edge of pavement. It seems to be partially in failure, located on the south side of the site here. Gas is also supplied to the existing house right off of this side near the sewer line. And there's an existing water line that comes up and services the existing building. So what we're proposing is a 5-bedroom, single-family home. If anyone's looked at the CIL website, they do care for special needs people. So this is a housing facility for people with special needs. So in order to do that or facilitate that, we proposed an new driveway, We flatten it out, about a 10% driveway here. We reduce the amount of impervious that's flowing towards the street to try to reduce the amount of runoff that's coming towards the street. There is no drainage located in French Street. I drove through there tonight. I still didn't see any catch basins or anything, even down to the low spot here. I think it just sheet flows off into the woods that I could see, even with the snowbanks. We created a high point here, right near the walkway for the front of the building, so that we could manage most of the storm water, either through the roof system or the parking area out the back. We've got our water quality swale right off to the left. It's all pitched towards that. We've got a detention basin located in the back. It's very shallow. It's about 18 inches deep, 24 inches deep, so very shallow. Trying to incorporate what's occurring with the existing landscape. And then in the foundation area, we propose some roof drain recharge inside the foundation here. So one of the comments from the engineer was having soil testing. We did request a waiver. I haven't had a chance to discuss that with him because it is inside the existing building, and there are quite a bit of utilities in the front here. Another thing that we did to try to address, if you went through there, you'll see a sign that says blind driveway here, and I think there's another sign, blind driveway down here. We're proposing to cut the slope back about 8 feet off the edge of pavement with a 6 inch to 12 inch deep swale, grass line swale, to give some kind of drainage control for the benefit of the street, the town, and then cut that back at a 3-to-1 slope. So that way, when a vehicle comes down and comes to a stop and looks left, he has a clear sight almost out here. Right now, they just can't see that far. There's some vegetation and the slope cuts them off. So we tried to incorporate some of the existing features of the property and address some safety issues, as well as improve some drainage, at least along our frontage, for the benefit of the town. If they ever wanted to go back and put some more drainage in, they've got a good start there without having to cut back or build walls or do anything costly on the behalf of the town. There's a handicap. This is very important that this building be handicap accessible, even all the way around the building. They want to make sure it's flat, so you can see the grading is relatively all at the same grade around the exterior of the building, so if they ever had some kind of fire rescue issue, that they can get people out the building easily. Handicap accessible out the back. There's a patio here, and the front doorway entry. It's got a, I know there is not part of your stormwater component, but there's columns and overhang here to kind of dress it up and make the building look nice. We are proposing a new water service and a 2-inch fire suppression line from the street so that we can have a sprinkler building. They also asked for a shed out the back, and then, bless you, there's some dumpster place right here to manage solid waste. So we received quite a few comments from the engineering department. Mr. Chairman, I don't know if you want to go through them individually, or I think we can address the majority of them with the town engineer and provide you the appropriate revised calculations and site plans.
When the members have their turn, if there's anything it's like specific that they want to ask about, but clearly there's 18 of them on here,
Yeah.
so, there's things you need to, square away with the engineering department before we be finished. Out of those, I guess I'll just ask up front, out of the 18, do you see any as an issue that you're not going to be able to resolve?
No, the only one that, well, we would request that there be a waiver on the soil testing prior to, but I would discuss that with the engineer first before I put that in the hands of the board.
Okay. All right. Do you have anything else?
No, if you have any questions, I'd be happy to try to answer them for you.
All right. Mr. Fratalia?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I was by the site and backed up a little bit, but does it seem like to you that there's a sight line issue there at all?
Yes.
Coming out?
So that was why you'll know we cut the slope back about 8 feet off the edge of pavement. So if you're
Okay.
well past that retaining wall that's there, and then I don't know what the existing slope is. It's steeper than a 3-to-1. We've cut that back to a 3-to-1 so that a vehicle stops 15 feet back from that sideline, street line here, can see out and across. He's actually elevated up, so he improved his sight line quite a bit.
So how do you plan on cutting that slope down? Because there's a pretty severe hill there that's up there, right? So
Right, so you can see the limits of the grading,
Yeah.
these dark lines here. You can see that cut back in the slope, what that would look like here.
Okay.
Plus, removing this house and the driveway, it gives us more room to work to
Okay.
grade that
Yeah,
out.
so I see the house. I was there today. I seen the house and so forth, but I just knew the driveway was going to be an issue as far as sight lines on the corner. So
Mm-hmm.
if you cut that back, that may resolve some of those sight line issues, you know? So like you mentioned, there's going to be retention ponds in the back?
Yes,
Okay. Any plans to fence that in?
it's very
Considering-
shallow.
I know that, but just considering the clientele that's going to be there possibly, maybe, so.
I can talk to the the owner's representative and see if they'd
You know, I'd
consider
rather hate
it.
to see something happen there if it's only a, you know, question of fencing it in to some degree, and I don't know the ages of the applicants that are gonna be living there, but you said they were handicapped, I guess, right?
Yes.
So with that, I'm all set. I just wait to see some results from your issues with Mr. Hardeman resolved, and once he's sufficient with the answers you give him, then we'll be able to move forward. So, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Mr. Delaney?
Yeah, I got a couple of questions. With the driveway coming down, the water that comes down that driveway, is that gonna go out onto French Street?
No, so that's
I might
what,
have missed what you were saying.
yeah, so we've got this cut and pitched, will be to your right on that page. And you can see there's a little notch in the grading there to pitch the water into it and then put it into this grass swale that we're building as part of that slope cutback. So that we're trying to address, there's not a lot of room to build major infrastructure or retain water. So we reduce the amount of impervious that's going towards French Street from about 6,000 square feet down to 2,000 square feet and change. So we more than half reduce the amount of impervious going towards it, and then we also gave it a place to go by building that grass swale to keep it out of the street.
The other question I have is, going into the front door, the water coming down off the house or whatever, the erosion control, how are you gonna control that much water with the erosion control in the front of it, going down to French Street?
Yeah, so Mr. Hardeman had a question about that. One of the things I was thinking of, he was more concerned about the amount of earthwork occurring in front of the street. I thought we might take and pitch a erosion control barrier at the top or the limit of the cut, so that any water coming off during construction is controlled and pitched off to the front and not being managed right by the edge of the road. Now you have a work envelope.
Okay, now, down on French Street, the border, is that gonna be, to catch the water, is that just gonna be a swale?
It's just going to be a
It's in
swale, yeah. But like I said, there's no existing infrastructure in French Street. We don't have
Okay,
anything tied to.
with the swale, you know, we have to have something that says they can't re-landscape it. The swale
Okay.
has got to stay there. Okay, we've had a couple of problems in the past where the swale has been there, but then after a year and a half, they decide to change the landscaping
Okay,
and they do something else with it. Then we get stuck with the water. Okay, so there's got to be something that says they can't touch the swale that's down in the front of it.
do you do that through a condition of approval, or what's your mechanism that you've used for that before?
Well, see, the thing is, most part, this is the first time I've come across a swale with a house. Usually it's condos or something like that, and they put it in the agreement. Or they have a condo association. In this particular case, they don't. So we just have to make point to the owners, or whatever the case may be, that they cannot re-landscape the swale that's in the front of it.
Okay,
And I guess the erosion control will be taken care of by you and Mr. Hardeman?
Yes.
I would think.
yep.
Okay. And I don't think there's a big deal. Is there a lot of parking in the back where you'd have to worry about snow?
I mean, they're going to have some plowing to deal with. There is
But the property in the back of theirs is open, it's theirs.
it's theirs, yes. Yeah, we're not up against a budding property where you'd be pushing snow into someone else's property.
Okay, I'm all set. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
All right, so, and just so everybody's clear, you know, we only have a land disturbance permit in front of us.
Correct.
You know, we're not granting a special permit, and it's sort of it's weird that this, you know, there's a lot of discussion of the building and all that, but that's not really what we're focused on with a land disturbance permit. It gets a little
Correct.
confusing that way, but there's a lot of detail that was just discussed in things that don't really have anything to do with the land disturbance permit in and of itself. You know, I mean, the building's coming about a different way. than what you usually would see in front of us, then, you know, because we're not granting a special permit for it. So I just want to make sure that's clear, because it's a little bit of a weird situation, the way that, you know, what we have in front of us. It's a pretty small, focused issue that we have in front of us. You know, I don't have anything extra to add on, in terms of the question again, because we're just talking about a land disturbance permit here. The majority of the questions come out of the engineer's, you know, 18
Letter.
points.
Yep.
So really, you know, before we're going to end up going forward with this, you're going to have to satisfy Mr. Hardeman, because this is one of those ones where the majority of what we're discussing, we're going to defer to him on,
Okay.
you know, what it is he wants or needs before it comes back to us. So that's going to be really where you're going to have to deal with your issues. Beyond that, so we do have a few people in the audience. I don't know if there's anybody who wishes to speak on this. If you do, please come up to the podium. Just state your name and your address, and the floor will be yours.
And you can pull the mic down to yourself, too. A little high.
Good evening, gentlemen. My name's Elaine O'Callahan. I live at 86 French Street, which is the property directly across from this proposal. I already spoke to Alexandra. She was very helpful. I do have a couple of concerns. One, it says 5-bedroom. I would like to know, I'm not against residential home. There's a great need for them out there. That's not the issue. 5-bedroom. I want to know how many residents are going to be in there, because I have had a bad experience since this became a group home. I've had to call the police to do a well-check visit. I had one of the residents come down and talk to me, and she was all upset, and she wanted me to call the police. The 2 workers, I know there's nothing to do with the building, I understand that. But I had to calm her down,
No, I
and I'm not even
understand.
trained. So I just want to make sure that we're not overloading with residents when the workers that work there can't handle them.
Right. The thing is, and I appreciate your concerns, it's just, again, we're only talking about a land disturbance permit.
Yeah,
We're not really-
Alexandra told me that.
Yeah,
But I had to come in and voice my opinion. And then the other thing that I am concerned about is water. When the town put the sewer through, they took land from me, eminent domain, and it went the length and the width of my property. And once that happened, it disturbed all the water table, and I ended up with a lake. Luckily for me, Billy Roper, I don't know if you know him, but he
Yeah.
went before the town engineer, and he got them to agree, and he was able to put a drain in at the bottom of my driveway to help with the water. I'm still having problems, but not as bad. But I am concerned about the disturbance of a water table again. I've been in my house since 1971. So those are my concerns.
So as to your second concerns, that is part of what they'll have to deal with the town engineer.
Okay.
To make sure that they're, you know, everything that they're submitting in their calculations are all correct. And that's what they'll have to deal with the
I know
engineering department.
Alexandra was, I want to tell you, she was extremely helpful. And she told me she found out who I should be contacting as far as the workers and all that. So I will be contacting to make my voice known. I'm not against group homes. There's a great need for them, but there've been instances, and I do agree with the fence, because they had someone that many years back, she escaped and 2 workers had to go running after her. And literally they had to bring her side by side back up to the home. So I do agree that it's for not only the safety of the neighborhood, but for the residents also. So I think that is a valid concern by the gentleman on the end.
All right, thank you.
Okay?
Thank you.
Anyone else? Questions, comments, or concerns? Same, if you just give your name and your address, the floor is yours.
Greg Terrian at 45 French Street, the property directly to the north. And speaking water-wise, they have their retention basin shown with a wear outlet pointing directly at my property line, which didn't seem to come across in their HydroCAD analysis to show where that was directing towards. And it's going to go northeast. It's going to go towards the wetlands. It's going to end up flooding out the bottom part of my driveway even more than it already gets. any water that goes in that direction. The road goes that way. The wetlands are across the street. It's all going to end up there at some point. No matter how much is retained on site, it's going to go in the ground, down to French Street, down to the wetlands.
Do you have any comments?
So the primary outlet is right here, sir?
Yeah, and
That discharges down, then you see that little cutout.
and
That's
it's pointing
where-
directly to the wetlands.
Well, no matter what, this is all elevated here, and it pitches all the way down towards French Street here.
Into the wetlands.
Right, that's where the water goes. There's an emergency overflow here, and again, the contour of the property still goes. So we're not altering the ultimate direction of the water.
You're just putting it in a different direction than it was previously.
We're treating it, and then we're discharging it in the same function or manner of where the water was going. Your best bet is to speak with the DPW, because even if when you drive down here, you can see where there's frost heaves and damage to the pavement, there's something occurring down here that is not allowing this water to drain properly through here. You know, either, this must be your driveway up here,
Yep.
you know, and you can see, and I know some Google Earth photos, you can see where the water's either ponding or sitting right there. It's actually off the property.
Yeah, that's the way everything pitches that direction from here.
Correct.
So, yes, you are treating water, but it's still going to be heading downhill.
Right.
Well, it's the same, I guess I'd make the same comment that I did to the last speaker, in that the requirements are they cannot increase what's coming off the property. So that's going, another one of the things that's got to go through the engineering
So that was
department.
questioned by the engineer because the report looked like it might have some issues to me.
It is one of the items that Mr.
Okay.
Hardeman has to
Yeah,
review,
yeah.
so.
Something else in the disturbance category would be the fact they're not showing any of the individual trees that are going to be cut down to construct your parking lot, not just a driveway, it is a parking lot. I have a nice view from my deck that looks out to a nice backyard right now. This is going to turn into a large paved area with a dumpster, a shed, streetlights, 7-foot tall streetlights, and they're going to cut down a bunch of nice big trees that do a lot of coverage there. So they're not showing the plans, they just show a tree line that's not being disturbed.
So you make note of that for when you come in the next time, just what we're
Sure,
talking about.
yeah, so you see, you can see this tree line here. So we're not altering that.
Yeah, there's individual
behind you.
trees in the yard
And
that,
then I think his area is concerned it would be right here, where there'd be some removal of vegetation.
All right, So we'll look at that when you come in the next time.
so I know it's not part of this meeting, it's considered a single-family residence, but this is a commercial development when it comes down to it. You're putting a parking lot behind a building.
Which is kind of what I was trying to say at the beginning, though. This is sort of a unique thing, and it doesn't fall under our purview for special permitting the way you may think it would,
Right, I
in the way you
understand that.
envision it. It's just not the way it works.
I understand that.
So I guess what I'm saying is, I understand you have concerns. The problem is we're not the venue where we can address them for you, because in this case, we're only dealing with a land disturbance permit. We're not dealing with the types of things we would normally address when we're dealing with a special permit. It's not how this happens, and that's
So
sort of
it's a
the,
loophole that they get to put a long-term care facility in a residential area.
it's just under a different set of rules than what we.
Don't we have a zoning district specifically for alternate care facilities, community development?
So I can address that for you. These are exempt from zoning and they're regulated by the state. So we have no purview or enforcement as far as not allowing it in a residential neighborhood. But there is, I actually sent to Ms. O'Callahan, the state board that regulates these homes. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but I did send it to her. But the bottom line is that we don't have the ability to exclude them from zoning. Same way we can't exclude like daycare facilities and things like that. They're regulated by the state and they're allowed kind of wherever they want to be.
So they can basically build a parking lot that's going to have a direct impact on me. That's cool.
Unfortunately, if that's how you're viewing it, yeah.
Yeah.
We address it through the
This should have
stormwater
gone through
management.
zoning, I feel like, and we didn't get any notices for that.
Like I said, it's exempt from zoning, so it doesn't,
Disturbing more than 60% of the property,
well, that's what this is for.
exactly. So
Yeah.
That's, I mean, all of that should have gone in zoning as well.
It's exempt, and we don't hear exemptions, so they don't have
It's
to.
outside our purview.
Yeah.
Because basically the state has determined that this is a use that is a need that they wouldn't want, or are making it so that a board like ours wouldn't get in the way of it, to be honest with you. I mean, I don't know, I don't know the way to describe it, I guess, but
Yeah.
we just aren't the body who deals with
Right.
its
So
construction, just, you know, we just happen to be the body that hears the
So the
land disturbance.
Land disturbance,
I mean,
right.
if this were
If it
2
was a
years ago, we wouldn't even be the ones.
For a commercial building in a residential neighborhood, for a
It's
land
just not how
disturbance
they deem
permit.
it. Think of it in terms of a little bit almost like the way that it is with the 40Bs. Otherwise, a 40B would be the type of thing being built would be heard here. We'd be the one who deals with it. But because the 40B law basically takes that away from us and gives it to basically the Board of Selectmen and the Board of Appeals to deal with, the entity that would normally deal with exactly what you think you're getting is not the body that deals with it. And that's simply a state law and nothing we can do about it. It's not local, it's state. They basically just are above us. And they're just saying, not for you to deal with. That's, I mean, that's, I don't know how else to
Okay, I
describe
can
it.
accept that. I'll leave it at this. I don't think the disturbance is, appropriate for the area. I think it's excessive. I think it's going to cause an undue impact on French Street's drainage and the wetlands across the street.
Right, thank you, duly noted. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No, all right. So,
Chairman, I had a comment for the applicant, if I could. So it's presently a group home now?
That I don't know.
Okay, but it was a group home before?
all right, the only thing is, we can't do the thing where you
Right.
comment from the audience.
Okay, fine.
Sorry,
I mean, it's just sort of the same thing, though, like, that's
Yeah.
not within the focus of what we have in front of us. What the use is or isn't now and what it's
Yeah.
going to be puts it outside of our ability to question.
Jurisdiction, I get you.
All right, so with that, would I suspect you want to come back in on the 14th? I can't have you do it from the audience because it's a public meeting, it has to be on the,
The R40 district building footprint coverage is 15% max. Impervious coverage here is going to be up in 17%. I know that's not building footprint, but you are covering a tremendous portion of this property that was previously green. So, another reason why the disturbance is not appropriate.
thank you. So you looking to come back on the 14th?
Yes.
All right. So then the next slot is 7:25. So do we have a motion to continue this till 7:25 on March 14th?
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion made and seconded. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. We'll see you on the 14th.
Yep, thank you for your time. Let me just close this out.
Oh, yeah, I'll grab that.
See if they want the comments from Holland. Who? These guys.
All right.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Have a good night.
You too.
Big guy, Jay. We're all done, right?
But just the last
More or
couple
less.
items. We can just run through those.
What's that?
Just run through the last of it. So,
Yeah,
all right.
there's nothing
So-
anyway.
All right. Any old business?
No, set?
I don't think Mr. Laney had any old business either. New business?
No?
Also none. We didn't have any correspondence in the package. Nothing's
Mr.
come in
Chairman.
last minute. All right, so we'll just wait on Mr. Delaney to come back and we'll adjourn the meeting.
Sure.
So Alex, is the new girl going to be attending meetings or not?
No,
No.
she's going to be doing them during regular office
That's
hours.
good. So we got you.
Yes,
Thank you.
you always got me.
So it looks like as of right now, 1, 2, 3,
And we're a little stacked on the 14th.
6, 7 for the
Yeah.
14th as of right now.
The signed special permit should go relatively quickly. I discussed all their proposed waivers with them. 30 International Place has a IDR tomorrow morning, so hopefully that moves quickly too. The 2-use special permits are pretty straightforward, so it's a lot of individual items, but it shouldn't be too bad.
All right, very good. All right, Mr. Delaney, we've run through everything. The only thing we have left is adjournment. So I will take a motion to adjourn.
Can I make a motion?
You may.
I make a motion to adjourn.
There you go. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. We'll see you on the 14th. Thank you. Good night.